So I think it's finally firm enough that it doesn't need the balloon anymore. And actually I added one more layer of tissue, so it will kind of smooth it out a bit. So one layer of paper mache, but with tissue. And you could kind of see it on there. Let me try to focus the camera. But I think that texture is going to be fine, as opposed to having the big pieces of paper. And the next steps are going to be to create the winding mechanism for the bob-omb. Just look at any reference. And we're going to create the feet. I'm going to try to make it look so it's like it's taking one step. And then the other foot up in the air. And it's really important that it stays light for that. And then we're going to try to put a lot of weight in that one foot. I don't know if it's going to work or not. It'd be very easy to just do the 2 feet coming straight down, but I thought it'd be a little bit more dynamic if it looked like it was moving. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to work on the winding mechanism, and then we're going to work on the feet. And like I said, I've never done it before, but I have a few ideas, and we'll see if they work or not. All right, so we are going to build the little winding mechanism, and you want to get a thick piece of cardboard. So I got these pieces, and it's about 3 pieces that I've hot glued together. You might want to practice drawing that on a separate sheet of paper. And you also want to make sure that it's about the size of the actual ball. So if you look at the reference photo, it's pretty large. And so I'm pretty happy with this size. That's why I did a little test drawing. Since the cardboard is much thicker, it's going to be a little bit tougher to cut. It might be better to do one at a time, but we'll find out. So all you got to do is draw it out. And this area right here in the photo reference is kind of like round. And we're going to try to figure that out in a second. Oops, it's too big. Now this isn't super important, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, perfect. It can be your own thing. It's what makes things special sometimes, is the way you do it. This is going to be pretty tough to cut out, but we'll see. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend that you probably, before gluing those pieces together, cut one out. Then cut another one out, glue them together, and cut another one out, because right now I've made it a little bit more difficult for myself and having to cut this out like this. So I'm gonna finish cutting it out, and then I'll tell you what I do with that. What I'm thinking is I'm just gonna like kind of drill it like that and then chip away at the pieces to clean it up a bit. So I cut that out. It wasn't too difficult. Now I'm going to try and cut this out, which I assume will be more difficult, but I'm just gonna widen this hole as much as I can. So I'm gonna start there. Be careful if you're doing something like this not to hurt yourself. Okay, I don't know that that's gonna work. I might have to bring some of my tools to class. Let me check. So this is part of my tools, and you attach this to a drill, and I know if I did, it would just open a hole right through this. I don't know if we gotta attach it to the drill. We could just use it with our hands. That way we avoid possibly getting hurt. And that's working. I mean, it's not as good as attaching it to the drill. The back came off a bit, that's okay. So maybe from the other way. It's working, but I think I am gonna maybe use the drill. Maybe much cleaner. Go get the drill. Okay, I got my drill, and hopefully this will be much quicker. I'll be doing this for you guys, so I'll just bring the drill to class. Like we did before with the piranha plant, like I was helping you cut the spheres in half. Yeah, that one's like way cleaner than the other one. So, let me pick away at these little remnants. You shouldn't have this problem because to help you cut it, it should be pretty clean like this one. All right, I think I'm pretty cool with that. All right, now we have to make this bulge out a bit. Alright, so we're going to use these smoothie straws, and that's going to go attached to this piece, okay? But before that, we need to wrap that smoothie straw in tape. But right now, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to outline it, and then I'm going to cut that space out. That's where it's going to be placed, and we're still going to have to make this round. Okay, I cut that out and I put this in there, but I think it best to cut all of this out, this round area. Then we're going to wrap this with the straw with tape, and then we're going to wrap the tip with napkin or some type of tissue. We'll wrap that in tape, and hopefully it'll be nice and round and be able to fit in that slot. And that's what we're going to do. Okay, I wrap that up in tape. Just going to cut the end. And the reason I wrapped it up is because we're going to put some hot glue in there. Maybe not. Let's leave this hollow because we don't want too much weight on this, because ultimately we're going to try to make it tilt and we want the least amount of weight possible. So now I'm going to attach some napkins here, and then I'm going to wrap that up in tape, and hopefully it'll fit nicely in that slot. So I've got this napkin, which I'm now going to wrap like this. Trying to keep this side as straight as possible, or any of the sides. Once I do that and I wrap it up, well, I'm gonna glue it and then I'm gonna wrap it up in tape, hopefully rounding out the top, and then I'm gonna put it in there, and that's how we're gonna do that. So I've wrapped that up and I'm trying to fit it here, but it's a bit of a tight fit, so I'm gonna cut this a little bit longer and then I'm gonna fit it in there and I will glue it in there. So it's a bit of a tight fit and I had to like physically try to expand this. Go ahead and apply your glue here, and I'm just gonna squeeze this on here and I'm gonna push it down right along the middle. And if you get a little bit of buildup on the sides, just melt it off later with the tip of your glue gun. Try to make sure that it's in the middle, at least as much as possible. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this, but I am gonna go and seal up these little holes just with hot glue, and I did the same for this part here. So just with hot glue, I'm gonna make sure that those holes are filled. But I want to also make sure that it's flat. You don't want to leave it bumpy. So take a little piece of cardboard and just flatten it out, okay? And do that all the way around. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I figured out a better way to flatten that. So even if you leave it bumpy, you can just with the tip of the glue gun, just make sure it's hot and just push that down, and that's going to flatten it nicely. So you could just go all the way around with the hot glue, come back and flatten it like that. Even in the center here, you want to make sure that you cover up those gaps. And I just put the hot glue in there, and once it's ready, then you could just again take the tip of the glue gun and just push that into the edge. And that's going to seal that up. I'm just filling in a little gap right here from when I opened up that hole. Like I said, I don't think you guys are gonna have that problem because I'll do it for you. Maybe you will, and if you do, just fill it in, because we're not gonna, I don't think we're gonna paper mache this. I don't think it's necessary. Usually we paper mache to strengthen, and we're not gonna paper mache this, but we are gonna coat it in a layer of glue, so that way we can paint it and the paint will adhere better. But we're gonna put it on before we coat it, that way it'll have a stand. So now we have to cut this because it's obviously it's way too long. So we're gonna cut it, and it has to be close. And it's time you guys start making some decisions, and I'm not gonna tell you every single little thing you have to do. So you determine how big you want it to be. So take a look at it and you determine, well, okay, you know, what's right. If you're not sure, go on the longer end, because it's very easy to take away, but you can't really add anything back. So I'm gonna go a little bit longer than I think is gonna be required. Okay. All right. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take that piece that just fell off just for the video, and I'm gonna try to glue it on to see how well it holds, because I have a feeling that this being, you know, just a straw isn't gonna be strong enough to hold on to this. But then again, I don't know. Maybe it will be. Well, even if I do that straw, it won't have the weight that I need. So I'm gonna cut a little bit more. And I'm gonna try to glue it on. Honestly, I don't think it's gonna work. But if it doesn't hold, then I'm gonna drill a hole and I'm gonna push it in there. And again, that's why probably you shouldn't take too much, because if I push it in there, then you know, I'm gonna lose this little bit. But you know, what the heck, let's give it a shot. Put plenty, and remember that it's going to be like this, so find a spot you like, and just hold it. And I thought it was going to hold for a second, but it fell. Okay, I'm gonna hold it a few minutes and I'll be back. Oops. I guess it's good I caught that on video so you can see how durable it is. Now this isn't gonna be as durable as the piranha plant because we're not stuffing it with a bunch of stuff. It is holding, but a little bit spilled out here. I'm gonna reinforce it a bit around the edge here. And remember that you do have to put that tape on that straw, because I think the hot glue will melt the straw. So I'm just going to put some glue around, and then I'm going to flatten it the same way I did for this. And it seems okay. I don't know how well it's going to hold up to like paint and stuff, like if it'll be able to handle the weight of the paint. But I mean, we're gonna learn. Not bad, just a bit flimsy. I'm wondering if there's anything we can do to make it less flimsy. But I want to make sure. I want to keep going, and because I want it to stand on one leg, so maybe it's got to be a little bit flimsy and light so it can stand on one leg. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down because this is too long. Now again, I'm going to leave it up to you how low this should go. If you look, you have to look at the reference, and I think that the reference is actually pretty low. So you determine what's going to work for you or what you'll be happy with, and then cut it to that height. But if yours is already very low, you know, you could just keep it the way it is. I am going to trace the top like this, so I'm gonna put it down, and I'm gonna trace the top. Why am I gonna do that? Because that's gonna serve as the top when once it's cut. So you take this, you put it on cardboard, or you trace it on cardboard, and then that's going to be your top. But before that, we have to put the legs on. So I'm going to cut that now. I am very pleased with this height. Now, the moment of truth. I am confident that this will hold. It feels very firm. So I'm going to pop this balloon. You need to judge for yourself if your sphere will hold. if it's not strong enough, you don't think it's strong enough, then add more layers. If you think it's strong enough and you pop the balloon and it collapses, then fill it, and you just have to make it standing straight up. So yeah, time to pop that balloon. Sorry, it's not as dramatic as you might have wanted, but I've made a hole in it, and now the air should be coming out. And it seems to be holding. As a matter of fact, the balloon is it's glued to the side. So that's good news for me, I think. And now the next steps are going to be to add the legs, and then we'll add the top here and the wick. Now, since I do want it to stand on one leg, what I was thinking of doing is getting a pencil and tilting it, right? And having that pencil come in like this, from this corner down, and having it come out of the bottom and having that be one of the legs. First, I gotta find a pencil. So I'm gonna go look for a pencil. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with this so far. Let me try to block that glare. We have to think about the feet. So it won't do me any good to put a hole in this if I don't have the feet ready. So I'm gonna build the feet. Luckily this still stands. So you have to examine the feet, and let's build them out. And my phone died. And then we'll put them in place. I'll tell you right now, the easier thing to do is to just make it standing straight up. And I'm gonna build one foot that's gonna go straight out, because I want it to tilt so it looks like it's walking. I think that's gonna be more dynamic. But if you're having any doubts and you just want to keep it simple, just build it standing straight up. I'll do that foot first. First I have to charge my phone so I have something to look at, so I can look at my reference, or maybe I'll just look at my computer. Yeah, I'll just look at my computer. Okay, there's my laptop. Based on this reference, I am looking for a way to make the legs, not the foot, the legs. So I determined that one good way to do that might be to, this is why I'm asking you guys to hold on to these. And I don't know why I didn't think about it before, but I think it's going to come in very handy in the future as well. Hold on to this, and this is going to help you make those legs. So you're going to cut it like this, and with one piece you can get two legs. And the way that you're going to do that is, just so you have an idea, you fold it onto itself. And that is going to give you what you need. Now you got to get it to the right thickness. Once you have it at the right thickness, okay, when you cut it, you want to make sure that you don't cut it right on the edge. So let me give you an example. So you see the edge is out here. When I cut it, I'm going to cut it like this, okay, right? Not right on the edge, but in here. So when I do that, if I choose to glue them directly onto each other, it'll form a nice connection. So, and it'll be lighter. Remember that we're trying to keep it light so it possibly stands on, one foot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue I'm gonna get another piece and then I'm gonna glue it. Actually, I already did it. So these are a bit smaller, these two pieces. So I'm gonna glue them. Once I get them to the thickness that I like, I'm gonna glue them. And we're trying to make it light, everything except for the foot that's gonna be touching the ground. That foot we want to be heavy, so everything could balance on that foot. Okay, so I'm gonna glue these. These are too long, but I'm gonna glue those right now. So I've glued those together. Just try to make sure that they are consistent, and if you have the edge coming up like that, what you want to do is just put some glue there, and then you could even wait until it dries, but again, you're going to use the tip of the hot glue gun to smooth that out, and that should give you a more smooth end. Now the next thing is to determine how long these have to be. Look carefully at your reference, because you can see that that's going to be too long. It's going to be too long. And I'm going to cut it about, if you look at the reference, it seems like a foot, a leg would be about one of these. So I'm going to cut it to about there. Right there. And that's how I'm going to determine my width. And once you cut one, you can go ahead and cut the other. Now remember that bottom leg, we want to make it heavier. So I might just fill that in with rocks if I have to. And now I'm gonna put one leg here. And I'm pretty happy with that length. Let's see. So one leg here like this, and then the other one is going to go below. But I'm going to make sure that I make it flat as flat as possible, so it can stand on it. So I'm going to attach those right now. So I've added the legs, and now, like I said, you kind of want to have one that is steady and down the line, and I'm gonna add some weight to this, and I'm just gonna jam some pebbles or rocks in there, and I'm gonna try to seal them in there with hot glue, and that's gonna add weight to it. So when I add the foot, it'll have more weight, and hopefully it will stand upright on one foot. This is the foot that's going to be up in the air as if it were taking a step. Okay, so I'm going to add weight to that, and then I've already traced the foot. The foot, if you look at the reference, it is kind of bulging a bit. Not sure how I'm going to create that bulge. I could do it the way that I've taught you, by creating kind of an arch of cardboard. That way and that way. I think I may do that just so I could add more weight in there. For the other foot, the one that's going up, I might just do it with paper, like we did this, and that way it'll stay light. So heavy here, light here, and once those feet are done, that's going to be it for the video. What will be left after that is to add the top, add the wick or whatever that's called, and then give it a layer of glue, possibly paper mache, maybe not. And then just paint it, and this is a pretty easy and fun project. I'm working on the feet, and working on this piece. Now I think that's too high, so I'm gonna have to take that down a bit. So look at my reference and cut it down to what I think is a bit more reasonable. And then once you get that, you can curve it out. So that's going to be for the front here. I'll take a little bit more. And these are my 2 feet. It's going to be for the front. And I'm going to make this into an arch, so it's a hollow space inside. That way I could fill the bottom one with rocks, and it'll get heavier. and I could keep the other one empty and it'll be light. And I'm gonna do this piece here, and I'll do another piece back here, of course the proper size, and then I'll do a piece along the middle, and all of it being hollow on the inside. Now, how do you get the right size for a piece in the back, let's say? Well, first you can measure how long it has to be, like this, right? So when I make this arch, I know that it's from this to this distance, and I could also know how high it's going to be, unless if it decreases in the back, which it does. So this one should be taller than this one, so we'll make it kind of around that big. Now we don't have to go 100% with the reference, it's not always going to work for us. So now I'll cut out that piece and I'll trace it, because I have 2 feet, and then I'll have that piece done. So I cut the arches, and now I'm gonna glue the top one there and the smaller one back there. Alright, so that's done. Now I'm gonna do the same thing, but for the piece that goes here, and then the piece that goes here in between these two, and then the piece that goes back here. And then from there I'll decide if I'll do another one, maybe across the middle. Definitely, I don't know, we'll see. Let me do that first. So I finished what I said I would do, and I started taping around the cardboard edges. This is the light one, so this is the one that's gonna go here. The other one is gonna be filled with heavy things, and that one will go down there. But this one can be filled with tissue or paper, and that's what I'm doing currently. Okay, so I finally finished up the light foot, and I cut out a piece of poster board. I traced the foot, cut out a piece of poster board, and I sealed the edge with hot glue just to make it flat. Now I've got the heavier one. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna do the same thing with the heavier one, and I'm gonna make it flat. As a matter of fact, I think I might just do the heavier one with a piece of cardboard, so it gives it a little bit more weight. And that's what I'm gonna do. And then I will try to put them on to see if they will stand. And maybe if I have to cut it, because now it's feeling a bit long. So I might have to cut it again. Okay, so I finally got the heavy foot, but I've realized that this is too high, because the original height was supposed to be taking the foot into consideration. So I've already put weight in this one, so it's tough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to drill a hole through this one and move aside the rocks and push this through. And I'll try to do the same thing here. I'll try to put a hole in it and push that through, and that way it'll be firmly in there. So now that's what I'm going to do. Just with a pair of scissors, I'm going to try to open up a hole in here. And you know, just make your feet shorter. Make your feet shorter. Okay guys, this worked really well. I'm really happy with it. This is just the top view. I'll show you what it looks like in a second from the side. But it's standing on one foot, and I am amazed, to be honest with you. And it worked, and I'm really happy. Hopefully you guys can get it to work as well. And it looks great. I'm thrilled. So let me give you a side view shortly, and the video will be over. The next video, we're going to complete the top. We're going to put the wick, and we're going to add the eyes. Yeah, we're going to add the eyes, and we're gonna, then the video after that should be a short video. The video after that will be just painting And this is a fun and quick project, and I think it's turning out great. So here is the side view, and like I said, I'm really thrilled with this so far, and I'm really happy it's actually standing on one foot. So hopefully you guys can do the same. Honestly, the easy thing to do is to put it on 2 feet and not fuss with it, but I just like it like this. So it depends what your personal preference is. If you don't want to fuss too much, just put it standing on 2 feet. If you want to be a little bit more adventurous and willing to fail, make it like this. See you in class.